A stranger walks through your front door. They smile. They say all the right things. They take off their shoes. They compliment your apartment. They reach out a friendly hand. And somewhere behind you, in complete silence, your cat has already made a decision. No hiss, no growl, nothing you would notice if you weren't looking for it. Just a single, quiet verdict delivered by an animal that has spent thousands of years learning to read the movements, sounds and signals around it, and reading them with equipment you simply don't have. In this video, we're breaking down the 12 silent signs your cat uses to decide whether a person is safe or dangerous. Some of them will make you rethink every guest you've ever brought home. Some of them will make you rethink people who've been in your life for years. Some of them, honestly, might make you a little uncomfortable about yourself. And number 1, the final sign, is the one almost nobody notices, because by the time a cat gives it, the judgment is already permanent. Before we start, hit that like button and subscribe. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. Now, let's learn how to see people the way your cat already sees them. Number 12. Cats judge your walk before they ever look at your face. Long before you're close enough to touch, your cat has already run an analysis on you, and it has nothing to do with how you look. It's how you move. Cats are motion specialists. Their peripheral vision spans roughly 200 degrees, and their visual system is tuned for one thing above all others: detecting the character of movement. Smooth, predictable, rhythmic motion reads as harmless. Sharp, sudden, stop-start motion reads as something else entirely. Sharp, sudden movements can resemble the kind of unpredictable motion cats learn to treat cautiously. A person who walks in heavy and fast, who plants their feet hard, who changes direction abruptly, is broadcasting a threat profile without saying a single word. Compare that to the way a familiar face moves through your home. An even pace, a predictable line from the door to the couch, no sudden stops. Your cat has that rhythm memorized, and anything that breaks the pattern gets flagged instantly. Even from someone it technically already knows. This is also why cats often react so strongly to children, not because kids are threatening, but because a child's movement is naturally erratic. Quick bursts of running, sudden changes of direction, unpredictable stops. To a cat, that reads less like a person and more like weather. Cats can also pick up subtle vibrations and changes in movement that humans may barely notice. Your cat has already classified your guest as a walking storm before that guest even reaches the hallway. Number 11. Hands are judged separately from faces. Here's something most people never realise. Your cat does not evaluate you as one unit. It evaluates your face, and it evaluates your hands as two separate sources of information. And when the two disagree, the hands win. Watch a cat around a new person sometime. The eyes go to the face for maybe a second, then they drop, and they stay dropped, tracking the hands. There's a brutal logic to this. Hands are what grab. Hands are what corner, lift, restrain and hurt. A face can smile while a hand is already reaching. So, cats developed a hierarchy of trust. Hands that stay low and still are neutral. Hands that hover above the head are threat. Hands that move faster than the body they're attached to are alarm. And a hand extended palm down toward a cat's skull. The classic well meaning greeting almost every human performs. Mimics almost exactly the descending shadow of an aerial predator. Interestingly, the people cats seem to trust fastest are often the ones who keep their hands still and low, sometimes tucked near their lap or resting quietly on their knee, letting the cat come close enough to initiate contact on its own terms. There's also a secondary detail most people miss entirely. The speed at which a hand withdraws matters almost as much as how it approaches. A hand that pulls back sharply the instant a cat leans away can read as a small reassuring signal, proof that the person is actually paying attention and willing to stop. A hand that keeps pushing forward after the cat has already retreated tends to get filed away fast, and not kindly. Many people fail this test without ever realising it. Number 10. They detect the mismatch between your voice and your body. Cats can notice when a person's voice says one thing while their body says another. Research on feline cognition has shown that cats process human vocal tone and human body language as separate channels, and that they cross-reference them. A soft, sing-song voice paired with a rigid spine, tight shoulders, and a fixed stare doesn't register as friendliness. It registers as a warning wrapped in a nice sound. This is why the person who coos, "Hi kitty," in the sweetest voice in the room is very often the one your cat refuses to go near. The cat isn't confused. The cat noticed something you talked yourself out of noticing. You heard the words. Your cat heard the body underneath them. This mismatch shows up more often than people expect. A guest forcing enthusiasm right after an argument in the car. A relative putting on a cheerful voice while clearly exhausted or irritated underneath. A stranger trying to seem relaxed while gripping their phone too tightly. Even something as small as a laugh that arrives a beat too late, after the joke rather than during it, can register to a cat as slightly off, a signal that doesn't quite line up with the moment. Your cat isn't listening to any of that performance. It's reading the parts of you that never learned how to lie. Number 9. Your body chemistry is telling on you. You can control your face. You can control your voice. You cannot control what you're emitting. A cat's sense of smell is roughly 14 times more acute than a human's, but the real instrument is the vomeronasal organ in the roof of the mouth. The reason cats sometimes freeze with their mouth slightly open in that strange vacant expression, that isn't a glitch. That's a cat pulling chemical molecules into a dedicated second analysis system built specifically for reading the state of other living things. Changes in a person's scent, sweat, breathing, and overall state may give a cat information about how that person is feeling. Someone who just had a tense phone call, someone running on adrenaline after an argument, someone quietly anxious about an upcoming decision, they may all smell completely ordinary to you, and completely different to your cat. This is part of why cats sometimes behave strangely around a person who is sick, grieving, or simply having the worst day of their year, long before that person has said a single word about it. The cat isn't being psychic. It's picking up a chemical signature the rest of the room walked right past. Which leads to the uncomfortable truth at the centre of this video. A cat is not judging your morality. A cat is judging your internal state. And internal states are extremely hard to fake for an animal that reads them chemically. Number 8. Cats eavesdrop on how you treat everyone else. This one changes how you'll watch your cat at dinner parties forever. Your cat is not only observing how a person treats it, your cat is observing how that person treats you. Cats are far more socially attentive than their reputation suggests. They track voice volume across a room. They register the moment a conversation shifts from relaxed to tense. They notice who interrupts, who raises their voice, who makes you go quiet. Cats can pay attention to the emotional atmosphere around them, including how people interact with their owners. Picture a guest who is perfectly warm to the cat, but sharp and dismissive toward their own partner across the table. Most humans in the room might not clock it consciously. Your cat often does. Some owners notice this most clearly during arguments that never get loud, the kind that happen in flat, controlled voices with long pauses. Humans can miss the tension entirely. Cats tend to leave the room the moment it starts. It's a form of social eavesdropping, building a reputation file on a stranger from third-party evidence alone. So, when your cat mysteriously refuses to come out of the bedroom for one specific guest, ask yourself an honest question. What does that person sound like when they talk to you? Number 7. The blink is a contract, and some people unknowingly fail the test. Now, quick pause. I'm genuinely curious. Has your cat ever refused to trust someone, and later you found out the cat was right? Tell me in the comments. Their stories are the best part of this channel. The slow blink is the single most misunderstood gesture in the cat world. It looks like affection. It's actually something more interesting. It's a declaration of vulnerability. Closing your eyes in front of another animal means lowering your only defense. When a cat slow blinks at you, it is saying, I am willing to be undefended near you. Research has demonstrated that cats respond to a slow blink from a human with a slow blink of their own, and are more willing to approach a stranger who does it. Kittens raised around calm, slow-blinking humans often grow into adult cats that offer this signal more freely and more often, almost as if trust itself became a habit early on. It also works the other direction. You can offer a slow blink to a nervous or unfamiliar cat yourself. Half close your eyes, hold it a beat, look away, and many cats will visibly relax within a few seconds. Not because of magic, but because you just spoke one sentence of a language they already understand. Here's the part nobody talks about. Cats offer this test constantly, and they watch what you do with it. People who are comfortable, calm, and not fixated on the cat blink naturally and softly. People running on tension don't. They stare. They hold eye contact hard, unblinking, because they're either trying to control the animal or waiting to see if it will come at them. A stare without a blink is not a greeting in the feline language. It's a challenge. Number 6. They're tracking whether you leave them an exit. Every time a cat enters a room, it maps escape routes. Doorways, gaps under furniture, high shelves, the path behind the sofa. This is not anxiety. This is architecture, and it's running constantly in the background. Now, watch what happens when a person walks in. Your cat instantly recalculates. Does this human's position block a route out? A safe person, without ever thinking about it, moves along the edges of a space, sits down and leaves the room open. A dangerous person moves through the centre, corners the animal against a wall, crouches directly in the doorway, or follows the cat when it withdraws. Picture a well-meaning but oblivious guest, who crouches right in the one doorway out of the living room, blocking the only exit, just to get a better look at the cat under the couch. To a human, that's a harmless, friendly gesture. To the cat, it's the room becoming a trap. That last one is the cardinal sin. Following a retreating cat converts a neutral stranger into a confirmed threat, and that classification is very hard to undo. Even a hallway can matter here. A narrow hallway with a person standing in the middle of it can feel, to a cat, like the only path in the house has just been sealed off, even if the person has no intention of blocking anything. The people cats love are almost always the people who let them leave. Number 5. Your cat checks your face before deciding. This is called social referencing, and it's one of the most quietly astonishing things cats do. When something ambiguous appears, a strange object, an unfamiliar sound, a new person, a cat will look at the unknown and then look at you. It's collecting your reaction and using it as data. Studies on feline social referencing have found that when an owner reacts positively to a novel, unsettling stimulus, cats are far more likely to relax and explore. When the owner reacts with tension, the cats stay away and orient toward the exit. This plays out during something as ordinary as a thunderstorm. A calm owner going about their evening as usual can help a cat settle faster than any amount of direct comforting. A tense, hovering owner can do the opposite, even if their intentions are entirely loving. The same pattern shows up with new furniture, a vacuum cleaner, even a new piece of clothing draped somewhere unfamiliar. The object itself rarely matters. Your reaction to it does. Read that again, because it has a heavy implication. If a person walks into your home and your body stiffens even slightly, your shoulders rise, your voice tightens, you smile a half second too late, your cat sees it, and it borrows your judgment. Sometimes your cat may react to subtle tension in you before you consciously notice it yourself. Number 4. One bad moment gets filed permanently. Cats can form strong associations from frightening experiences, and those associations may last a long time, because in the wild, an animal that gives a predator a second chance to be nice doesn't get to pass on its genes. And the file is far more detailed than you'd expect. It isn't just this person is bad, it's this person's footstep weight, voice pitch, hand speed and scent. A composite profile. This is why a cat will sometimes react badly to a total stranger who has done nothing at all. That stranger isn't being judged as a stranger. They're being matched against a profile the cat built years ago, and they're setting off a memory they had no part in creating. A rescue cat that once lived with someone who wore a particular cologne, spoke in a particular deep register, or moved with a particular heavy gait, might react to a completely unrelated new person years later, simply because the pattern lines up closely enough. This is often the real explanation behind a rescue cat that seems to dislike an entire category of person: tall men, people in uniform, people wearing hats, not prejudice in any human sense, just an old profile still running in the background, matching against anything close enough. They aren't holding a grudge, they're remembering a pattern. Number 3. Cats are not fooled by people who try too hard. Here's a pattern every cat owner has seen and almost nobody has explained. The guest who adores cats, who announces it loudly, who drops to their knees and calls and reaches and follows, that person gets rejected. The guest who barely acknowledges the cat exists ends up with a cat in their lap within 20 minutes. It's not irony, it's grammar. In feline social language, approach is a status move. The individual who closes the distance is the one asserting control. The one who stays still and waits is the one offering choice. A person performing enthusiasm is, from the cat's point of view, an unpredictable animal pushing into its space and demanding a response. Children often fall into this trap more than adults, not out of any bad intention, but because excitement naturally makes them louder, faster, and more direct, which is exactly the profile cats tend to avoid. Ironically, some of the most cat-averse people become the most cat-approved simply by accident. They sit on the couch, ignore the cat entirely, and get treated to a lap visit 20 minutes later, purely because they never asked for it. The cat isn't rewarding indifference, it's rewarding restraint. It's rewarding the person who let the cat decide. And this is the closest thing to a moral judgment cats make. They consistently prefer humans who don't take what they haven't been offered. Number 2. A cat's stillness can mean the opposite of comfort. Almost every guide gets this backwards, so pay attention. When people talk about a cat disliking someone, they picture flat ears, a puffed tail, a hiss. That's a cat that feels it still has options. Loud is not the dangerous signal. The signal that matters is the stillness. A cat that has gone rigid, low, tightly compressed, with pupils blown wide and its face pointed away while its ears stay locked on the person. Sometimes freezing can be a stress response, rather than a sign of comfort. Picture a cat tucked under the coffee table during a loud family gathering, not moving, not reacting, seemingly unbothered. Many owners assume the cat is simply relaxed enough to nap through the noise. Often the opposite is true. It has judged the room as too unpredictable to move safely through. The version that fools people most often is the cat that stays sitting in the room, perfectly quiet, and doesn't run. Owners read this as tolerance. Frequently, it's the exact opposite. An animal too overwhelmed to commit to an exit, waiting it out. A useful comparison is a cat that flops over, belly up, tail loose, eyes half closed, near someone. That's usually genuine comfort. A cat that sits bolt upright, weight low, tail wrapped tight around its own body, eyes wide open and unmoving, is doing something very different, even though both can look, at a glance, like a cat that's simply sitting still. Learn to read stillness, and you'll start noticing things about your visitors that your cat has been reporting for years. Number 1. When a cat truly decides you're dangerous, it doesn't warn you, it erases you. And here we are, the last sign, the one almost nobody recognizes because it's defined by absence. A hiss is communication. A swat is communication. Both mean the cat still believes negotiation is possible, that a boundary can be drawn and respected. But when a cat reaches a final verdict on a person, the behaviour changes completely. It stops reacting to them. It doesn't hide dramatically. It simply stops being wherever they are. It leaves rooms a beat before they enter. It may stop using its favourite spot while they're in the house. It watches from a distance, from height, from the doorway, never engaging, never protesting, never giving the person a single piece of information they could use. That doesn't necessarily mean fear. It can be a sign that the cat has decided distance is the safest option. A cat that hisses is still communicating. A cat that simply disappears may be choosing distance instead. Owners who've lived with the same cat for years often describe this exact moment. The cat that used to sit in the same room as everyone suddenly quietly permanently opts out whenever one particular person visits, and nothing ever fully repairs it. No treats, no coaxing, no amount of time. What makes it stranger is how selective it is. The same cat that vanishes for one visitor will happily sit in the lap of a total stranger an hour later, proof that this isn't shyness or a blanket dislike of people. It's a specific, deliberate verdict about one specific individual. And here's the thought worth sitting with. Your cat is not a mystic, and it is not a lie detector. It cannot read intentions, morality, or a person's history. What it can do is measure, with terrifying precision, tension, incongruence, chemistry, movement, and the way a human being behaves when they think nothing is watching them. It doesn't know who is good. It knows who is safe. And across a long enough life, those two things overlap far more often than we're comfortable admitting. So, the next time your cat quietly leaves the room when a certain person arrives, don't dismiss it. Something measurable happened. You just weren't built to detect it. And the strange part is, most of us have a version of this instinct too. A quiet, unexplainable discomfort around certain people that we override, because we can't point to a specific reason. Your cat never overrides it. That's not a flaw in how cats think. It might honestly be one of the few areas where they're doing it better than we are. Maybe the next time that quiet feeling shows up in you, uninvited and hard to explain, it's worth treating it the way your cat treats it. Not as an inconvenience to talk yourself out of, but as information worth taking seriously. Understanding how your cat reads other people is only half of it. So, watch our next video on the 10 things your cat has already figured out about you. Some of them are flattering. Some of them absolutely are not.